Donc, ça va bientôt démarrer. YouTube dit démarrage en cours. So, I assume it's live or not yet. Anyway, let's consider it's live. Even though you say démarrage en cours. It's funny that it's in French. I guess my YouTube is configured in French. Okay, guys. So, what I would say is today I want to talk about the Bitcoin and the difference between this, Bitcoin type of cryptocurrency and the other one that we trying to launch over here in Switzerland for the new paradigm shift, the new gift economy where we favorize exchange between human beings, collaboration, and all those. So it is a totally different set of different usage that will help us. Here you go. So we are live. So hello everyone. Now I can see on YouTube. I don't know if you can hear me though. Strange. Maybe the sound is not there. Okay, normal. So the topic of today is Bitcoin and also the Bitcoin future that has been launched in Chicago exchanges. CME, I think, is by the end of the week, and today is a CBOE. Now, there is a way of trading Bitcoin without trading Bitcoin. Basically, you place a future contract where you say you will buy Bitcoin at a certain price at a given date, and someone is selling you that contract. So someone is committed to sell at a given price, someone is committed to buy at a given price, no matter what the market price will be. So if the Bitcoins goes above the price you said, then that's the seller that would have to pay the difference to deliver the Bitcoin. And if it's lower, then the extra monies goes to the seller. So it's kind of a betting, what do you call it? Projection, a prediction. It's prediction market basically. And so it's highly speculative. So that's what I don't like with those cryptocurrency. If we use them as the same thing as cash settlements market, then it goes up and down, speculation type of thing. And that means that people are using it to make money out of nothing, no added value. Not even money that go funds a project that will create value in itself. So there is no project startup behind like ICOs. So it's kind of a weird usage, a very capitalistic way of using the Bitcoin. And in that sense, it's for sure it's attractive to the big investors or bankers, Wall Street people, so to speak. So the same old elite companies, so families, people that's used to manipulate all the markets for their own intentional personal gain. So that's why cryptocurrencies have the ability of being transparent, meaning it's a totally open ledger, have the ability of programming their code from the start. So you can totally program the way the currency will grow over time. You can program the way like Bitcoin is fixed, so you can program its own scarcity. You can program a burning rate of the the currency to be able to create to control the growth, the price, the value, so to make people interested in investing in the project that is funded by the investment of the Bitcoin. What we have to think about is that money is a tool for facilitating exchanges. And it's also a way of people to say, oh, yes, I like this idea. I want to invest in that idea. If it's a good project that you have and I want to help you acquire the resources. So all those things, all those tools are initially made to facilitate the exchange so that we can help each other, so we can have energy is circulating within a community and then externally if we export. And so all this is hampered by the fact that people use that as just speculation tools. I mean, to get richer, to get more. I mean, it's a greedy attitude, a tool that is meant to facilitate the exchange that is used differently. I mean, today, the majority of people buy Bitcoin and low price to be able to sell it at a higher price later. So it's a buy and hold type of strategy. Thinking that will grow. And for sure, Bitcoin is bound to grow during its adoption phase. The value of a coin is the total number of people divided by the monetary mass, market cap. And so in that sense, the more people get into the Bitcoin economy, the higher the Bitcoin price will be. I mean, it's natural that at the launch of any type of currency, you have an increase. So the price of the increase in price is predictable. Which is okay. It means that people that initially put money in, they contribute to the launch of that business. So that's normal that they get rewarded. However, what the big guys are doing, the JP Morgan and companies, is that they missed the boat, because while there was a lot of things, the government was reluctant to get in because it's hard to control and all those things. And sure, I mean, every financial regulation is always lagging the technology. Technology is brand new. There is no law about it. And so that's normal that all government financial institutions are behind in terms of using those tools. So they miss the initial gain they could have made. And they want to find ways to jump on the trend, if we can say this way, by having mechanism and having designing products around Bitcoin that allow them to operate in their current legal framework. And that's why we see future contracts. Because you don't even buy any Bitcoin by trading future contract. You buy just the prediction. You buy and sell the prediction that the commodities, I mean, that can be wheat, that can be oil, that whatever, it's Bitcoin. You buy the prediction you made, And so the day of the sale, or the day of the end of the execution of the contract, you just get the difference in money, or you pay the delta that is required to have the purchase of that Bitcoin without having any Bitcoin purchase. So it's totally speculative, and you even don't have to go through the purchase. I assume that the guy that placed an order like that wants to have it to purchase. So it's not a question of making just profit on the future, but it's also about getting the currency. However, so these all these mechanisms are probably legal. I mean, are certainly legal even in the States, and so that will open up to Bitcoin contracts to be traded in the US without having to go through trading actual Bitcoins. So it's speculative. We have to remind us that currency is made to exchange between people, to define the economical zone, to address a given market. And so if there is no goods and services that are exchanged with a currency, then it's not a currency. You cannot. If it's not used to buy everything that you need on your daily basis, what's the purpose? Beside just getting hooked on all the fiat scheme and becoming the exact same thing in the fiat money, which is even more dangerous if it's only electronic, because there is a full control of any big organization. So even though Bitcoin is decentralized, if people with trading scheme, if they can short, that means selling lots of Bitcoins, they might influence the price. They might get the price go down. So if there is a price that going down, all those big companies can get to big, huge benefit, in the sense that every time that the price goes down in no such a currency, you are stealing money from the people that paid a higher price. Because there is no value in the Bitcoin itself. It's just a trust. The trust that you put in the Bitcoin itself that give its value. So there is no production of value like in a startup where you get a product out, or you sell services. There is value added. Here, the Bitcoin future trade or whatever, there is nothing. It's out of thin air. The value is just the trust measure. So that's why it's also very volatile. But every time that it goes down, so especially during the adoption phase, if you force it to go down, you know that it will go up again, because it's the adoption phase. So at every dip in the curve, you just pump money out of the people. And so that's very good for stealing money. And that's probably what all those big institutions wants to do, is get, big numbers out just by pumping and dumping type of mechanism. And so any type of control of the price a manipulation of the price is very dangerous, because then we go back to exactly the same scheme. Stock markets, and all the debt economy that has made the gap between the elite and the people so huge that we go crisis to crisis. So that's why I'm very reluctant to do anything with Bitcoin. Even don't own Bitcoin myself. Is not because I don't believe in the currency. It's more like there's a couple of things that we want to revisit in a cryptocurrency. I mean, if it's to repeat the same mistake, then the whole banking industry, while replacing a banking industry and fiat money economy with something that will be very similar and even worse because we lose total control of it. The main advantage of Bitcoin is decentralization. If we remove also that decentralization, because what you think is that you will have a big, huge corporation doing mining of the coins, and so that means that they control a big chunk of the network. However, I mean, I'm not sure that they will manipulate the blockchain itself, but it's kind of tricky, dangerous. It's a point. That would be a point of how do you call it? Point of failure, no, a point where you can have corruptions and influence on the mining thing, especially if the miners have access to future contracts, because for them it's not any risk. It's even an advantage for the miners to have future contract trade at Wallstreet because they will be able to hedge their investments and being able to pay the electricity bill to generate the future Bitcoin with minimizing the risk of losing risk of volatility of the Bitcoin. So that's an advantage for the miners. Maybe overall that's good for Bitcoin. Probably it will be because it's re-incentivize the mining, which was over the time. Getting less and less reward. So the thing is that by design, because it's fixed and scarcity, fixed number of coins, the price is bound to grow until we reach stable adoption. What does that mean? That means it's a deflationary type of economy. In a sense of the price of goods, the price of fiat, the price of Bitcoin increased, so that means the value of the fiat decrease in that sense, and so the price of things in Bitcoin will decrease, which is a good thing for the end user, which might be not a good thing for governments and other institutions because that creates less revenue for them. So I would say it's deflationary things. We don't want also to have an inflationary type of currency like any type of fiat today. Is that every time you print money, then your buying power decrease, and so it's another way of having the institution and the banking cartel to steal wealth from the people. You just print more money, and then the buying power of everyone's will decrease. So how to design a new currency that is non-speculative. Non-speculative would mean that the price of that currency is fixed and controllable. So I don't know. I've not not searched how to design that from the start of the currency. What we can say is that there is two mechanisms that can be studied and simulated. The one with the fixed cap, like the Bitcoin, but with a burning rate that's matched the adoption. So in that sense, that the value is stable because you burn as fast as the adoption, knowing that the value is proportional to n over m, which n the number of people using it, and m the the market cap. So the n of people using it, the money in circulation. So you can probably design something where those goes together, so that have a constant price to be simulated. The other thing is go for a model where you have a constant emission, but on a fixed rule, a constant emission of the currency. And you distribute then the dividend. So you distribute the extra, the increase of monetary mass to everyone. And so that means that you don't change the buying power of everyone. You that's all the money based on universal dividend, where your buying power stay constant over the time, and that's the price might evolve in the sense that the monetary mass increase. So the price compared to fiat, so that means the price of goods might evolve, but your buying power is stay constant. And so there's those two mechanisms. So we are developing a few set of currency here in Switzerland with GC Bank. GC Bank stands for Gradual Change Bank. So we believe that we cannot move away from capitalism in a blink of an eye. That things will happen gradually. So we have to set up system platform that that we can operate in the same way than the current system is, meaning providing the same type of product, banking products for the end user, like having checking account, credit cards, what else? Saving accounts, and then, so that they can live and pay their rent, get paid for their work, spend their earning, and go to the grocery store and that type of thing, and run projects, get credit. So all those banking products that they are like the ones we have in a capitalistic society. However, that are based on the cryptocurrency and have the property of being sustainable, respect to the environment, and does not contribute to the spiral of crisis after crisis, or manipulation that we see. So there's in the market, there's things that are the money that are in circulation. There is the part that is, so for services good, the part that is speculative, and the part that is in terms of value, that is not monetized. So all the free labors, the benevolent activities, the volunteering, and all the long term, like the disabled, and how much corruption that we can tolerate, because same thing, it's the cost, is the extra expenditure that the society has that has to be generated somewhere. In terms of cost, expense that will be covered. So the fact that in a society, we can have several peoples, I mean, with their skill, their talent, their what they produce. It's enough value to cover for all the extra thing that we want to cover. So it's how do we measure that? How do we distribute also this excess of production? And that's important because that's the feedback loop to make the economy stable. Sorry, stable on the long run. So the idea behind is that there's two things. I like the idea of having the tax on the fortune, just so that we change our mindset that money has to circulate and not being hoarded. So how does that mean is that if you have a saving account, the saving accounts will not have a positive interest. You will have a negative interest. And that means that every money that you hold will disappear over time. It's the 50 years jubilee type of thing. So in 50 years, all your money disappear. 50 years is long enough so that you don't notice that type of thing. It's like the banking fee that you pay today. But what does that mean is that it creates a way of I mean, a tax on the fortune, exactly, so that this can finance all the credit that is required for launching projects. And so that stimulates the economy. So that will make anyway the value of the currency rise. So it's good for that point of view. So it will create a strong currency. The other thing is that it's allow the people to have free credit. So we move from an economy where all the loan and the credit, so all the access to resources is controlled by the small group, the banker's family, to a place where anyone can start a project and have access to resources, meaning that you need some fundings, you just create the fundings you need, and it's paid by this fortune tax. So like all the fortune that is sitting there without doing nothing is distributed to the people to fund the project that they have. So it's a way of self-funding all the project that matters for each one of us. And so how do we do that? Is that how do we prioritize? How do we make decision of which project we want to push forwards or not? Is that every individual? So that's kind of a democratic, and I would not even say democratic. It's more like a sovereign approach of project funding. So it's not the ICOs, which is crowdfunding, but it's more like initial, how would you say? It's like personal funding of any type of project, meaning you have access to what you need to start. So let me explain. I have a project, for instance, I want to kick off that type of co-working company, and I need initial funds for having the development. I need a JavaScript guy, and I need to pay that guy to get things done in a timely manner, rather than relying on volunteers to code my stuff, I mean, after hours. So how do I do that? Basically, I ask for a credit to my own bank. What does that mean? Is I go to my account and I say I need, let's say, 3,000 Gcoin. And so I just add up 3,000 Gcoins on my account exactly the same way that the bank will do it. So that will devaluate my own currency with respect to other people. In a sense, I will have a balance, a negative balance of 3,000 Gcoin. However, over time, I will reimburse these things with the production of all my work, and with also the project. If the project advance, every revenue that are generated will contribute to the reimbursement of that credit. So in that sense, I have direct access to the money that I need. Because I can't, I need to have the people paid, I need to have all those things. And so the initial credit is free for everyone. So everyone did have projects, they just think about it, get the money. So okay, they might fail, some projects might fail, but still, that means they still have, everyone is responsible for getting their balance back to zero, which is the equilibrium. That's why we call it balance. And so if you have a negative balance, then you work towards making back to zero. If you have a positive balance, then you work to use that money, so meaning to fund projects. And if you do nothing and the money still stay there, then it will be used at the tax rate in the given project. So it's either you use it yourself and use your money as a voting power, a voice to say, hey, I want to build school in my neighborhood, or all those things, or you don't use it, and then it will be slowly used by the community via the tax on the fortune system. So that's one way of doing the currency. I don't know which one is better. It's probably personal things. All the currency that GC Bank is issuing is as the humanity in mind. In that sense, we want to resolve poverty. We want to regenerate the planet. So we support all the alternative currency that are also going that way. So we have equality keys from Earth Nation. We have Earth Dollar from Mother Earth, and Earth Bank. And so all those currencies that are not a Bitcoin type of currency, they are Ethereum, they are on the Ethereum blockchain right now. So Ethereum is not, is also has its own also advantage and drawbacks. And so we don't know exactly how those currency will evolve, but at least it's the starting point for the currency. The G coin that we developed is also based on EC20 Ethereum, just as a temporary currency, so that we have something that we can trade. And we want to have a way of exchanging between all what I call it the love currency, is all the currency that respect the human being and any form of life on the planet. So all those currency, they might evolve over time. We are working actively to replace the blockchain. I thought I lost the connection, but I guess I'm still alive. So all those currency initially are on the blockchain, but we want to replace it. So I'm working very hard to get the technology point solved. We can have a non-consensus mechanism. What I see is that there is a lot of energy that is wasted by reaching a global consensus. It's ridiculous that if you want to buy a coffee cup, that you have to have on the blockchain the global consensus of all the network. What does that mean is that every people on the planet need to agree that you bought that coffee. Come on, it's ridiculous. And it's written in the full history from beginning of Bitcoin to the end of time. that you have you have purchased that coffee at that time. So it's all the wasted. I mean, we need to think renewable. We need to think in what is in respect to the environment and how do we do. I mean, we exchange a coffee for value. So the money is a language value. So we talk about it's how do we agree about value of things between people. It doesn't need to if it needs to match. I mean, I can value the coffee because it's in the morning and I love the coffee smell, and I would pay any price to have that coffee in the morning. So I have a given value. It's important for me. The merchant that sell me the coffee has his own business, family. He cut his margin tight so that he can sell more. He make his customer happy and all this. So he has also a value for his coffee. He won't sell his coffee 1 Bitcoin, you know. He adjusts his price based on what he thinks is good for his business and for his long-run sustainability way of sustaining his business. And so even those values, it doesn't need to be equal to have the trade happen. They need to have an agreement at one point of time where I am in that store, I'm willing to pay what the merchant is asking because I value that coffee more than the price that he asking for. And so they can have a discrepancy in price and still have the negotiation made. And that's how prices are set up. It's a bit on how much people want to buy the goods at the given price and how much people want to sell at the given price. And depending on where the levels are, the trades occur or the trade does not occur. And so if the trade doesn't occur, there is a buying price and a selling price. And then you have the market price that is set there automatically. So we can have mechanism. We can have, automatically trade. We don't need to have, and that's where AI excel. I mean, nowadays in all the financial markets, is that we can have AI being able to automate all those negotiations so that it's seamless for the end users. And if we do it in a distributed way, then there is no control of any type of organization that can manipulate things. So the idea is to be able to allow the trade between two or between different parties, but without the need of writing it down on a big, huge book of the blockchain. Is because it will require a lot of ink and paper to write everything, so it's not cost effective. I mean, so to speak. So what we do is that instead of having a big, huge ledger like the big book of finance of the world, we distribute that. So first, it's more robust. It's not. It cannot be, there is no point of failure, so you cannot be hacked. People think that Bitcoin is secure, but we don't know yet. There is mechanism that I believe that we can go around, we can manipulate, you need 51% of the network power to be able to hack the blockchain, to be able to rewrite the big book. What do you think? The things that also you have to know is that it's very new, the blockchain, and so we can call it the Bitcoin blockchain. But there's thousands of other blockchains. So for the end user, imagine the end user is how do you know we write on the correct book? We can have a team of hackers that operates a Bitcoin network that is totally identical, that is even in sync with the Bitcoin blockchain. So it's like they copy a second book. However, on their network, they have 51% of the computing power. And what the AA can do is that by hacking at the wallet level, which is on every phone, and the phones are very hackable anyway. So by hacking wallets, they can say, they can have the network still write the transaction on a big book, the blockchain official book, but they can mimic the behavior and then write on their blockchains, private act blockchain where they have full control, and they can switch the network once they have enough people adopting the hacked blockchain. So they can run silently for a while, where every transaction is on both networks, a hacked one and the official one. And then once they have enough critical mass of people using that hacked network, they can switch for everyone. And so everyone that has been hacked will have no clue that they are running on a separate blockchain where the whole monetary mass and exchange that will be used on that network will be totally in the hands of the hackers. So security of the blockchain is not proven yet. It seems to be robust enough. But we are not at scale of a global, worldwide adoption. And so we don't know how it's behaved. We have seen like the little kitties that was tracing the Ethereum blockchains as the first proof of scalability. So this is in the making today. So security is not yet guaranteed. We have to be very careful also. People are not used to security. They don't know exactly how to handle sensitive, secure information. The wallet is a key only. So it's a pair of private and public keys. They might mix up, so the private key might leak, and if a key is leaking, the money is gone. And I have some friends that invest in Bitcoin. One of my friends bought one Bitcoin a few years ago, and got it stolen. So if he still had it, he would have what the price is, $16,000 right now, for only one Bitcoin. And so it's so easy to lose your wallet. You forgot your password, then it's gone. It's like you burn. That's how we burn Bitcoin. Is that you spend it, you transfer it to a wallet that you don't know the password, that no one knows the password. So the trick is that there will be a lot of people that lose their wallet. So it's like you really lose money, and without the chance of finding it again. So it's not like the real cash. The other thing is that if have any link of your password, that means that you have your private key on your phone, and your phone is hacked. You're using an exchange where you enter your private key on your computer, but your computer is also logging the keys. All those things. And so we will see, with adoption of the Bitcoin as a true currency, we will see lots of troubles like hackers, thieves. A new kind of holdups, like we see in the old days, banks that were attacked. And then that's the same way in the virtual world. So we will have wallets attacks and all those things that will happening once it's reached mass adoption. And so that will make the price of Bitcoin totally, it varies a lot. Once people get burned, the price I mean, they will be all over the news and the price will crash and that type of thing. So it has to be go through this type of initial learning curves. So we want to design in the meantime something that is more robust, doesn't need to have the drawbacks of the fiat, and doesn't need to have the global consensus of everyone and the exposure of everyone. I mean, it's nice to have the full transparency of everything's going on the planet. It's very nice from the AI standpoint, is that you can watch and monitor all the economical activity. So you can predict the health of every local areas. You can, I mean, it's wonderful in terms of tools, big data tools, and AI that can use that at its own advantage. So that means all the big people with high processing power will be the new elite. So if you use Bitcoin going as it is today, you replace the bankers, you replace the lawyers, you replace the insurance, you replace the elite, but you replace them with the exact same thing. The new bankers will be the geeks, meaning the ones that are capable of emitting mining currency. So that would be the new bankers. The lawyers will be the ones that are capable of writing smart contracts. So the people that know Solidify and then that's know how to write solid, so to speak, contract that we hold on the blockchain. And so what you do is that you replace the bankers with the miners, so it's still centralized. You replace the lawyers with geek, so it's just a question of people that speak a language that not everybody speaks, legal language is not understood by everyone. And that's why people today write contracts, they go to a lawyer so that they can put the language they used to that create the legal binding. You will have the same. Today, to write a small contract, that is a smart contract, there's 20 lines of code. And those 20 lines of code today, because of the skills that is a highly skilled set that is required, you need to pay like $50,000 for that. So it's a very specialized skill. It's a special language, and there is risk that you have to write your contract properly, because once it's on the chain, you cannot change it. So it's required a lot of skills that are, and you have to be careful. I mean, so that means the people sell that type of skills at the higher price, like the lawyers do today. So it's exactly the same. What else? So you replace the bank, the elite, yeah. With a transparent ledger, the people that we gain from the system and the people that we will have access and know how to analyze the data. Today, the traders at Wall Street, they have all their tricks, insiders, they know the comportment of the markets and all those things. And the same thing, it's a skills that is held by a set of people. And those are the ones, the elite that control all the Wall Street is controlled by this elite. And now you have the same thing, is that the people that will own the big, huge computing power, the big AI farms, will be able to control everything. Because they will be able to take a decision that a human being cannot take. In the Wall Street things, is that the human being is still useful because you use the intuition, because you don't have access to all the data. So AI won't be able to take a decision. A human can, because a human is connected through his brain, intuitive brain, to everything, the whole universe. So a human being can trade on Wall Street better than the computer. However, on the blockchain, the computer has access to everything. So the computer can trade better than the human. So that means every human investors won't survive long in this competing trading is a machine against human. So that's one point, is that initially human will be able to play until you have the computers taking over, but it won't last long. I mean, I bet like it's 1 or 2 years max before the big computer guys, the Google, the Amazon, will be totally crunching data on the blockchain. So we don't need that. We don't need to have Google knows that I bought a coffee cup. We don't need all those things. And it's also a very concern for all the freedom, because if everybody knows all the energy that is flowing around you, they knows what you're doing. They know exactly everything in your life. And so if they disagree of what your action, they can close the tap. I mean, it's all electronic. They can shut down your internet connection, and then you're gone, like all the, I mean, the Assange and all the people that disturb the status quo. So we don't want a currency like that. So what does that mean is that instead of seeking global consensus, we seek local agreement. And won't even need a consensus. Like the value is subjective, like I said, and it can be different. Even that does not prevent from the transaction to happen. I need to have my coffee more valuable than the price that the seller give me to be able to buy it. That's it. Nothing else is required. So value can be different. Same thing, my work, I mean, I'm the only one being able to assess the quality of my work. I mean, if I think that what I'm doing today worth whatever, $50 an hour, and I believe that, I'm convinced, and then it's because when I spend an hour, I mean, I do that type of things, and then over time, and then my lifestyle and what I want to in my life match the need and the production that I'm doing. That's my value. My contribution to the world, my contribution to it, worth that. And anyone is capable of doing that. I mean, sometimes, I mean, we have more difficulties, or we feel guilty to ask for a given price and that type of thing. But all that's are, I mean, based on our emotion, what we experience. However, if we can live in an area where we know our value, we will be much more successful. If I ask for $50 for a given services, I know it's value like that, and there's no, and then people will value my services to the same scale. I mean, doesn't need a same scale to their own value, but that will match my scale, and so there will be a good, I mean, a trade that will make everybody happy, a win-win type of trade. And so we don't need to have the corporate HR, the management that impose, I mean, some grid. You're doing that, you have that, and so blah blah blah. And then the end of every month, you struggle because you don't meet the ends. And that type of thing, and then because there is the up and downs of the economy. So to get out of that system is that everybody contribute, and that's motivating because we contribute in what we like to do. We want to be part of the economy. We want to have bigger vision. We want to have a sense of belongings to a group, a membership, or whatever it is. And all that we can do that using those new currency without having the heavy weight of I need to work to earn painfully all the money that I have that I will spend just doing the necessities because the prices are going up, and then my salary is stable, and all those crazy things. Anyway, so we get out of this system of scarce, artificially scarce resources. The sun is giving is energy for free. We have the duty to give our energy for free to other, and then that create all a different type of economy. So, and the currency is not to get rich; it's just to acknowledge what we give, so that we have a way of balancing. Is that having a way of contributing as much as we need. So some people will have lower need, some people will have higher needs, and it doesn't matter. Is that we produce what we consume. It's balance. Everything in balance. Everything's flowing. So we design currency for that. I think it has been quite some time. How long now that we are talking? Like about an hour. We probably close down because there's so many things that we can cover. But the idea is to have local chain that is not public ledgers global, so that we register our value. We register our balance, our credit, and with the three, the triple accounting. So there is proof. We keep records on a local chain in the cloud, and I won't call it blockchain. I can call it hash chain, or even hash network of hashes. I mean, we have to find another word than blockchain. So if you guys have suggestions, let me know. Hash, so it's cryptographic hash still to validate the integrity of data. So we have a record that is secure in terms of integrity that we sign. That is a record of what we do in terms of exchange of energy. The merchant that we purchase goods from, same thing, has his own chain. And most of the time, there is absolutely no need to validate what we do. Who needs to validate that I bought a coffee? If the coffee is good, if nothing, and usually what it is, there is no way of complaining. There is no way of taking it to the courts and being not happy. If in most situations people are happy with their transaction, then we're happy with keeping our records. And even we're happy for throwing it away because we don't care. And so we don't consume page of the big book. We don't consume ink. We don't consume energy in real. And if you think, what is it? The energy that the hash, the Bitcoin rate. I mean, I think it's some small country like the whole energy of Ireland or something like that. I forgot exactly, but it's huge. And for nothing, for global consensus that is not even required. So, and even myself, we don't need, in the blockchains that I designed for those currency, we don't do consensus, global consensus. We don't even do local consensus. What we do is we do local consensus on demand. Is that if there is a problem with the transaction, then that you present the record to a smart litigation. So it's not smart contract, it's smart litigation. Is that you can put on the blockchain a smart litigation contract that will resolve the problem if the problems occur. But you don't need to record until you have to have litigation. So what does that mean is that everybody has their own value. Everybody in a transaction, what does that mean? Is that it's an exchange of value. So the language, you use a language to exchange of value at a given point of time. And so you write down that transaction in the certain language. So and it can be any type of thing. That can be an Excel sheet. I'm used to have an Excel sheet. That's my language. You might have other people that use other mechanisms or other type of software. As long as we provide the interface between those software, we're totally fine. So that means we have to agree of a standard format, like what is it, a pro form of whatever for the invoice? Well, we can find out a standard ways of representing transaction, and we keep a record of that. That's my personal story. At that time, I spent that value, and that's it. The value is personal, might be different than the other person. The time is also personal. It's my point of view. Is that when I pay something, is the time that I pay. I look at my watch. That's the time when I pay, and that might be totally different for the merchants. The merchants might consider that his coffee has been paid when he's doing the math on his cashier. When he has received, or when he has cashed a check, if it's a check, or when he has received the money from a credit card. And so the time even of the transaction is different for him. And the value also might be different. It's the price that he was asking. And for me, that was the price I was offering. And so we all have our own story of how the negotiation occur. We just write down that. And in terms of when there is a litigation to be done because we disagree on certain point, what we do is we bring the two stories. By bringing the two stories, we have all the facts from the two point of view, and then we can decide. I mean, we can even write a litigation contract that say, if this story is that in that case, and then if this is in that case, and then there is those events that didn't occur, then we can resolve this way. And so we can have those smart litigation done automatically. And so that's where we need to go to the blockchain, to a ledger. And so we don't even need to go to a global ledger. If I have a dispute with my coffee merchant, I don't need to involve the world in this dispute. I just need to have someone that is outside, that has no interest in this, but has an interest in having the economy working to resolve the problem. And so how the smart litigation is done is that we, instead of having a proof of work that is being able to decide in the whole world which one has the right record, what we do is that we have proof of witness, is that there is an odd number of witnesses that is not related to, that is not a party, that has no conflict of interest with respect to the contract that has been, the transaction that has been made, that will decide. And so we present to that witness the two stories of the merchants and the buyer, and the witness validate what has been going on. Either it needs to be a payment, either it needs to have a damage paid, or whatever it is, a punition, or whatever it is, that is, we can write down in a smart litigation. And that person validates. So then you can say, okay, you might have people that are not objectives, and they can take parties or whatever it is. So we can extend that to a local network of witnesses. We can define how witnesses are selected, in 1, 2, 3 degrees of separation. We can have ways of even dealing with cases where there is people that are for one party versus the other. This can be an election, can be a vote. You can have all different mechanisms. You can have a jury that votes, but it's a small scale. It's locally. Is that every person in the network, the blockchain network, contribute to the executing the smart litigation. So most of the time there will be no litigation. And that means the record, they can be there, they can be kept by the user if they decide to, or they can also just vaporize because we won't need them. So if you don't have the record, then you cannot go to litigation, and that's fine. You forget things, you lost your coffee, money, and it's fine. If it's more important, you buy a car, the car is broken, whatever is wrong with the car, then it's different. But then you keep a record. You know what records you want to keep for important stuff or for high risk things. So you can have also insurance mechanism. You can have a smart insurance contract that will cover in case of the litigation or in case of the things that you didn't plan. They say, oh, yes, didn't plan to have this litigation contract done, but I can have insurance contract. And or executing automatically. So the participant in the network have the duty to exchange their whatever normal doing their normal commerce, but on top of that, the machines that are running the network, so meaning every individual's machine, if you connect to the network, you do serve the network. So you have the duty to execute the litigation smart contract, execute all like insurance smart contract, and validating the stories that enter into the litigation. So those type of things. So it's very little, it's local. So efficient, not global. So you don't have the global transparency that you might have, but you can have it. You can make every end user can publish if they want to the world. So you can publish a book to the world. So that's been good for some of the project. I mean, all the charities, all the project that needs transparency, you have it. So you can turn your story, your blockchain to the world for the world to read in a pub/sub protocol. So you publish and people subscribe. So it's not also something, it's not overflowing the network, like the gossip type of mechanism where you broadcast you broadcast your story to random nodes in the network, and it's just exponentially distributed this way, which is which is an efficient way of broadcasting something. However, it's huge bandwidth consuming. You create a lot of traffic doing that. It's everybody broadcast their story randomly all the time. We consume a lot of bandwidth, and it's no need. We don't need to shout out on the roof every time that we do a transaction, and we don't need people to repeat that by gossiping. It's a different approach. So it's pub/sub. You publish, people subscribe if they want the information. Otherwise, it's just they are not interested, so why bother consuming resources that is useless? Something, if we don't go to litigation, what bother having the stories published? You can if you want, but it's on the personal preference type of thing. So there is probably also education, because people might not know how does that work and that type of thing. That might be complicated for some. So that means we probably have develop some wallets that will do the minimum that is required. So we do some standard litigation contracts, some standard insurance contracts, and good to go. And you use that as exactly as the same way you use cash money. And I will probably think that we will have a credit card. I mean, that's probably the easiest way. A credit card, and you pay with your currency with a credit card, and all the rest is automatic. You enter a PIN code or you sign. Probably enter a PIN code is probably easier. And then you go, and everything, all the wallet management, multiple signature, all taken care on the software in a transparent way, so that the end user doesn't have to know all the mechanism behind. We can have access to those mechanisms if the people want to understand, which is good. I mean, it's good to understand how it's working so that you understand how the economy is working, what is important in the financial things, how money is created, how the interests work. But for most of the people, they might not even need that understanding. And they will use the things to facilitate their exchange. They will get paid according to their value of themselves, and they will have they can have the free credit things, they can have the basic income. So we will do currency that provide basic income, we do currency that will provide free credit, and so you can choose what is the most suitable. You might have even different accounts. You might have an account with a G coin, an account with a basic income, dividends, all different options. And you can have a mix of those things. We will probably do one that is most suitable for the majority of the people. If you don't, if you don't deal with huge projects, or if you just have the basic, like a farmer type of coin, that allow you to get your seeds and that type of thing. I don't know. We'll see. But it's open, and then we can design exactly what you want. A currency. That's the nice thing about the technology, is that you want to facilitate exchange between people, and we are all different type of needs, and we can adapt the currency to the needs that you have. That's the beauty of the technology. And today, we don't even need complicated smart contract and need solidified language and that type of thing. We can even have smart contracts that are executed by humans rather than executed by a computer. So we can even create a profession of people just helping the network. And then if we can have machines that do that, I mean, fine, but we don't need to. And so that means we have all the tools today. We can have it's a question of communication and language. Money is a language for exchanges value. And so we are defining the language today. That's the cryptocurrency. It's a token that we give in the past. So we're defining the language, how we record that. That's the accounting system. Every society, when they have big major revolution, they change their accounting system. So we want to have the accounting system that take into account what we need for our world. So we need to account for the life, like the earth dollars. I mean, all the lands, all the water, the fresh water, all the trees, forests that are alive, and then bring values to the world, more than their value in woods, right? So we developed the accounting system, we developed the language, and then I think I will start with just Excel sheet. We don't need to have the Bitcoin encrypted whatever things, and so we can tie up this Excel sheet to the equivalent of the blockchain. That will be the hash network, hashnet, and so this Excel sheet will be available for the parties that are interested, not more. I mean, don't need to. And we might have the people validating. So it's a triple entry accounting. So you might have an accountant that just verify the numbers. And that will be the litigation. So the smart litigation contract can be run by an accountant. So here you go. We save the accountant profession this way. Might not be as fun as before, but anyone on the planet can become accountant for validating transaction. So and you will have people that develop software that will replace that accountant. That's fine. We can have different type of contract after, and there is always need, because we are human and exchanging and then being social, so we exchange value by connecting to one another. And this connection is the smartness. And so we can have all the robots connected together, but we can have all the humans connected together. And we are more powerful than all the robots connected together. So I try to change the way we work, the way we think, by putting the human being on the blockchain, so to speak. And so, and rather than having a boss that directs us, we can have the blockchain that is like is a huge network where people exchange projects, where a platform where we do have make our request. We need these resources. We need this for this project. Blah blah blah. We need these fundings, and so that's the ICO type of things. We present what we want to do to the world, and then the world give us the people that are interested. It's like building up dynamic teams. And that can be local people, that can be global people. Anywhere we are connected, we are one. And so by using these blockchains or human chain, then we know where are the resources, where are the skills. We know our inputs. We know what to execute. That's a smart contract. That's a smart task that we want to have. We want to execute. So we have the input of the people. We have the skills there, and we have the output, the outcome of the project, and the human collaboration is there, and then we execute so we execute I don't know if we can say we execute our skills. So we apply our skills on the data, the big data available for having the outcome that we want. And that's the smart human on the blockchain. And so the mechanism and protocols are very simple. And so I want to create this type of corporation. I call it unincorporation now, because we don't want to have the mechanism where we're forced to work for earning money, or consuming the extra production, blah, 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 and all the problems that we generate. So we have this type of uncorporation that is using the talent available. And I would even say that all unemployed person should join this type of new company, a new organization. It's DAO to the pure things. It's not automatic DAO. It's human DAO, distributed autonomous organization, but organization of human. And so in this DAO, there is no managers. We are all roll up our sleeves. We are all contributors. We are all talented. We are all motivated to do what we are good to do, or what we want to do, where we want to improve an even area. It's fine. And so what we have is like we have a big bucket where we have projects. And we pick the project we like from that bucket. And that's by choosing that project that links us automatically into a team that has the resources, the skills to execute. And so we create value out of that team. And this is all regenerating, is all fed back into the system. And then we create a new type of economy, a new type of living where we live for what we love to do. So no work anymore. We just enjoy contributing, solving the big problem of the world. If we connect all our brain together today, we can solve anything. And the way we connect our brain is having this platform so that we have dynamic teams that are forming, resolving, based on all the ideas that are generating, all the projects that popped out. So my first project is put the human on the blockchain. Second project, have a equivalent of the currency to provide the resources and funds for having those humans to do some real added value. So producing solutions for all what matters to us. And so that means co-working space, a special communication network that is not gossiping, that is local, targeted within those dynamic teams, and the currency that goes with it. So it's a huge project, but at the layers, the structure is fundamentally simple. It's the way we always work together in real life. If I decide to, okay, I want to build a house, and I set up a team of house builders that are super motivating. Yeah, we want to build that house in that time and blah blah blah, and everything is organized smoothly. The carpenter, the masons, and everything. So it's easy. Because it's like if we have access, it's a question of we have access to the people and the skills, and we have the motivation, the self-motivation to contribute. That's the only thing we need. And we can build that type of network, the human on the blockchain, how I call it. I need to find a word other than blockchains. Because the blockchains is the Bitcoin, and then it's gone. It's gone. I mean, it's obsolete. It's consume oil, and it's about to be captured by big elites, banks, family, or the Googles and companies that will control AI. So here you go. So a lot of ideas, and I would like you guys to give me feedback and join us. To contribute. I'm totally 100% of my time on that, and so would you. You should do the same. If you have spare time, just give you spare time on that type of project. We'll be happy. So we are gradual change movement, or movement for gradual change. Hashtag M4, the number 4 GC. And if you want to see the currency side, is gc-bank.org, which is our website for at least the first draft of website for currency activity. Okay, thank you. Bye bye. Talk to you soon.